South Africa says it will temporarily halt the rollout of the Astra vaccine after a relatively limited trial showed that the vaccine did have diminished efficacy against the new variant. Joining us now is Bloomberg's Michelle Cortez. Michelle, from a scientific point of view, this was to be expected, I'm assuming. The COVID virus is a RNA vaccine. It's going to mutate pretty quickly. The vaccines have come through remarkably quickly, and as a result of which, we were going to need some adaptation. Isn't this just the trajectory that most scientists would have expected us to be on?
I do think that the pace of innovation and how smoothly the vaccine development went from the beginning might have lulled people into a little bit of complacency, right? You think that nothing's going to go wrong when you get positive results after positive results. We did originally think that the virus might mutate much more quickly than we have seen it at this point. So there was early anticipation that we would see some drift like this and less efficacy. So the fact that we're seeing it now isn't terribly surprising, except for in contrast what we have seen up to this point. And you have to remember that there is good news here in that we've gotten to this point, and we've confirmed that there are different ways to approach these viruses, and we have all of these companies that are already working on the next generation shots. So we're not starting from ground zero again.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because the UK also said, look, we'll probably do an annual shot and also maybe a booster in the fall for the new COVID variants. But with the exception of the UK and parts of the US, like countries cannot get it together to vaccinate even the first shot. So is the pessimism somewhat warranted?
Well, there certainly is going to be a challenge with this whole process, but you also have to think about how early we are in the process, right? We're not even yet fully 2 months into anyone getting these vaccinations anywhere in the world. In the United States, we are expecting that we're going to start getting to capacity, not capacity, but saturation. There's going to be a lot of these vaccines available very shortly in the United States within the next couple of months. So at that point, you know, some of this focus can go to other places, and hopefully it will be going with more efficiency and a better pace of the rollout. Of course, the idea that we're going to need to go back to people and give them a booster shot or another strain will complicate that process. But again, you have to remember how very early we are in this process. The concern, of course, is that this kind of mutation is what made the Spanish flu, the 1918 flu, such a terrible thing. It's that mutation, the fact that people who are previously infected might not have protection against this next strain, so you could get it twice. There is potential catastrophe. Hopefully that doesn't hit.
That would be good. Michelle, do we, though, get to a point where the bulk of the mutations that we would expect and are seeing are kind of aggregated into one virus, and after that it starts to, in terms of the mutation, slows down? Do we continue to mutate? Does it continue to mutate at the current rate? Does it speed up? Does it slow down? That's my question.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that science has the answer to that, truthfully. And what we are seeing is in finally having some pushback from the vaccine, some pressure on the virus, we are seeing this mutation start occurring and pick up at a faster pace. Certainly the virus is just looking to mutate around any of this kind of protection that happens, so it's going to be working as quickly as it can in order to keep itself alive. The thing that you have to remember, though, is that the researchers picked this spike protein particularly, or the other targets for the vaccine, for specific reasons. It's critical to the virus in order to infect those cells. So if they mutate too much away from what they're already doing, then they're not going to be as efficient in infecting those healthy cells. So the virus can only mutate to a certain extent. The vaccines are going against the virus in that exact location. So it is a very, it's a cage fight. It's a very narrow space, and we're just going to see what is more able to do it, whether manufacturing might in the pharmaceutical industry will get a leg up, or if the virus will figure out a way around it. At this point, I'm betting on the pharmaceutical industry, but we're going to have to wait.